Hello and welcome to the Being and Becoming podcast. I'm joined today by Brad Copenhaver, one of my good friends from high school. Brad, thanks for coming on and talking with me today.
Thank you for having me, Logan. It's always a blessing to talk to you, sir.
Hey, likewise. And I was telling you before we started recording, the reason I reached out is because you consistently make me laugh with your sense of humor and like what you post on the internet. And I just thought, you know what? Might as well just check on Brad, see what's going on, see what he's up to here.
Yeah, well, once again, I'm very glad to hear that. I think that I'm starting to show a lot more of my very goofy side,
I
as I
know.
get older.
I love it because I think in high school it definitely come out in spurts. Yeah, and like
Mhm.
because I would say you're more reserved. So once you start getting to know people are comfortable with them, then it's
Yeah.
like, it's like, oh my gosh, Brad's hilarious. But so it's kind of fun to see online though, I guess as well. It makes me nostalgic.
Oh, yeah. I know it takes me a lot of time to warm up to people, but as I get older, I think that people just kind of like see me like right out of the gate, like, oh, this is who he is. So.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
there was a there was a lot of reservations during high school, I think, but now it's either you take Brad or you leave Brad.
That's a great
Yeah.
quote. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, it shows a little bit of, confidence, maturity, and whatnot. Like we were
Yeah.
talking also a little bit before the call of just, we're a little bit older, hopefully a little bit wiser. So,
Hmm.
yeah. But on that kind of note, it's already been almost 10 years since we graduated high school, man. It's like this
10
year will be
years.
10 years. Yeah.
A whole decade.
Yeah. Lots happened,
Yeah,
man.
I know. Lots has changed. People have moved out. Uh yeah, lots happened. It's crazy to think about, honestly. I was wondering if we were gonna have a reunion or anything like that.
I haven't heard anything officially. I don't know
Yeah.
who would plan it, but I hope we do. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, I think it would be cool like to, catch up with people like kind of what we're doing now. Just to see where everybody's at, how everybody's doing. That's always like fun to see when I'm just randomly running into someone that I used to go to high school with. It's always fun to talk to them for a little bit.
You did that to me. I forget how many years ago this was now, but it was
Mhm.
right when I don't know if you remember this. FC Cincinnati had just started the football team, the soccer
Oh
club,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm just like standing in a crowd of people or walking or something, and I feel
Hmm.
someone tap me on the shoulder, and I'm like, "What the?" I turn around and it's you just smiling. I'm like, "Oh, Brad, let's go!" It was like,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was so
Those
awesome.
I know, like I said, it's always fun to run into a familiar face and one that always has a smile on it, like you.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's funny. Like we were both like we were passing each other, like going different ways, but it was just like, oh, let's catch up soon. Yeah, let's talk. And then it was like, oh my gosh, time just keeps flying by.
I know
But
that's unfortunately how life goes. Everybody
yeah.
just gets so busy. Just it just happens.
And speaking of reunions and high school and all that, uh, Austin and Patrick also host this podcast with me. Although
Oh, really?
I'll typically sit down with guests, but then the three of
Hmm.
us will do topical things, or sometimes we'll like try to read a book and talk about the book and
Hmm.
things like that. Although that's a lot of work, so we don't do that very often.
No, I
Um,
get it.
but yeah, so they're both doing well, and we've kind of stayed in contact the last year or so, kind of working on this. But um,
It's good to hear. I love those guys.
yeah, Pat's in Texas, and then Austin's actually in Cincy.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, he's teaching at CCS.
That's funny. Yeah, because I think that a couple people from our class might be teaching there now. Emily Flint, I
Yep.
think her last name changed, but she's teaching there as well. Yeah, it's very funny to see. I went back because a guy at my church played basketball for CCS, so I was like walking around the track and seeing if I knew any of the teachers or went to school with any of them, and I was like, man, this is hilarious.
Yeah, it's kind of different being on the side of the fence we're on now, having gone through, and then it's like, okay, who's back? And it's kind of fun to
Hmm.
see that some of our classmates are now teaching, and you're like, oh, that's so cool, that's awesome that and they've all been great fits too. It seems like, you know, they're hiring
Yeah,
some good people from the past and whatnot. But
yeah,
um,
that's cool to hear.
yeah, but I figured we kind of talk through too, like you know, what you got going on right now, like job wise, and just
Hmm.
kind of how are you doing? What excites you? What are you learning, and
Yeah,
how are you?
yeah. That's a good question. Um, yeah. So, I in 2020, I graduated from UC with a bachelor's in biology. That was a very hard earned degree. Lots of tests, and I'm not talking about just paper ones. Uh,
Yeah,
um,
man.
yeah. And then after that, just I didn't really have like a real specific plan of what I wanted to do with that. So I just basically put myself out into the job field and just tried to see what I could find. And basically where that led me to now is I'm a microbiologist at a testing lab. And so that's basically just a lab where we're doing tests on devices that are being used in hospitals, doing tests to make sure that they can be reused in hospital settings. Also just working with a bunch of like new equipment that's coming out in the medical field, stuff like that. I've been there about almost 2.5 years. That's that's one of the longest jobs that I've had because I've had some really crappy jobs.
Oh
Um,
no, I'm sorry to hear that.
no, it's all good. All good. Lots of lessons learned in those as well. But yeah, been at that job. They didn't treat me well, which is why I'm still there. Then yeah, it's a challenge, and get to learn a bunch of new things and get to get new challenges. I'm someone that likes to be challenged a lot, so
Yeah,
you definitely face that, and the satisfaction of accomplishing something that's hard worked at. Pretty what keeps me going.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
felt like the challenges change over time, or is it like within the same vein? Like what
Mhm.
kind of tests are you guys typically running, or researching?
Yeah. So we're basically just researching ways that hospitals can basically reuse devices that are being used on patients without having to, buy a whole new like device. So um, you know, we test on like sleep machines, endoscopes, the long tubes that will go down your throat, or another end that I'm not gonna say. That that has like a camera on the end of it and peek inside the body. Um, yeah, we do a whole bunch of testing like around that area, and it's just the challenge of making sure that everything runs smoothly, everything that our customers will say, hey, this process will be able to work to clean this device, and we have to basically prove that so that they can submit it, for other hospitals to be able to purchase it and use effectively in their hospital. So it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the challenge of lots of planning, which is not my strong suit. Um,
Hmm.
Lots of patience. Lots of lessons learned from this job that I'm very grateful for. Just stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of crazy. Like you were saying, you could be working on a sleep machine or something and trying to get that to work
Hmm.
for another patient. But then, like,
Yeah,
you also be working on like a dialysis machine and like
yeah,
like a heart. What are those called? Like a heart monitor, kind of.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, wow, that sounds
Yeah.
really exciting because it's also so I work my background is business. I studied accounting at Anderson University, and then now
Hmm.
I work at an insurance brokerage firm. But it's funny how when you're describing what you do, there is I think about a little bit, that's a little bit of, like business too, it seems like you're working in, because that's
Oh yeah,
understanding the processes, how can we make this better, how do we get longer use out of assets. I feel like that's totally, you know
yeah.
in
And
that
I
vein.
think yeah, and I think that's what I like so much about the job is that it can branch off into a lot of other things. Like, I could, of course, go work for other labs, but this could also put me into that business side of sales, saying that, hey, I've used this product in a lab setting, and I can tell you how well it's gonna actually work in your hospital. So I think that something else I like about it is all the opportunities that can come from it, and
Yeah.
you're just gaining experience and gaining a lot of stuff that you could not only use there but use elsewhere.
Do you think that would be something you'd want to move into? I know you're just referencing sales. Is that,
Hmm.
would you have any interest in that, but like longer term?
I I think so. I've been looking into it. Yeah, I go to a church where there's a ton of people from a ton of different backgrounds, and there's lots of people that will mentor you and lots of people that will help you and try to help you establish yourself. There's a guy, he's one of the coolest dudes that I met, and he I've kind of been asking him about it and asking like, what's the market like, or if a quiet or introverted person would do well in sales or something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just picking his brain at the moment to see if that's something that I would want to jump into. But then there's also I'm still learning like a whole lot of this job. So,
Yeah.
I'm trying to like learn as much as I can, like before even thinking about leaving or going to into something else. So, time will tell.
Yeah, that's awesome. It seems like you're doing your due diligence and trying to learn more about the company and the
Hmm.
hospital rather, and other opportunities. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's
definitely.
all I've kind of felt like since coming out of college and maybe even high school. As long as you're curious and have a desire to learn, most employers are willing to work with you and try to
Yeah.
get you into a role. And I'm sorry to hear that you said that you've worked some crap jobs, because I mean, because you can be curious or a good worker in those kind of settings, but they
Yeah,
just might not care. Or like I'm thinking about, I worked at a Sonic one summer with Austin Stone, uh,
yeah,
who's on the podcast too, and yeah, it was very fun, very interesting, but it wasn't one of those like, yeah, I'm gonna keep working here and they really value my contribution and stuff like that. So
yeah. No,
I
I
got
get that.
I got hired, Brad, with two guys. One guy was just out of prison, and the
Hmm.
other guy was a 15-year-old drug dealer from Florida. So
Oh,
yeah.
huh. Yeah, that sounds like one of those jobs that you just meet random people. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's no,
I mean,
I get that.
we all got along and stuff, if like I really there was a lot of laughs. There's a lot of good times that summer, but it was also just
Hmm.
like, this is a high school job, and
Yeah,
I'm ready to not have to do this again, maybe. But
yeah, yeah. No, I get that, and that's the crappy jobs that I was like referring to was like jobs that I had like during college. Gotta make money while you're trying to get more money. That makes
exactly,
sense.
no, it
Yeah.
does, yeah.
Hmm. And then COVID, yeah, that slowed down a lot of uh I had a job that I really liked. It was a good college job, they worked around my schedule, made sure I had everything I needed.
Was
But
it in the
I was
medical field?
unfortunately it wasn't. I
Oh,
was just
okay.
working at Roosters, right next to CCS. Well,
Oh,
the
cool.
elementary. Yeah,
Route
but
four.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But I met a lot of interesting people. Like I said, the managers all like made sure that I wasn't being overworked or anything like that. And I think that was my like longest standing job. I was there for like 3 years. Um, but there's some people that I still talk to this day, and you know, I think it's funny because it's like jobs like that where you may not even picture yourself being at long term, you still can learn like a lot of good lessons. I think that um the lesson that I learned from like that job was how to be a hard worker and how to multitask because on a Saturday night everybody wants chicken and
Right.
and it was just chaotic, but you just had good people to like take over the situation and make sure that things went as smoothly as possible. And that's something that, I learned how to do there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's nice when they're willing to be flexible, regardless of whatever the job is. If your employer values you and is willing to be flexible with what you have going
Hmm.
on in life, that's super helpful. I had a
Yeah.
torn ACL this past year, and it was just such a long process. I'm actually not even fully recovered yet. I can walk, but I can't run or play sports
Mhm.
and things like that yet. But I'm hoping to be, by the time this airs, I'm hoping to even, be a little bit uh, more recovered and hopefully getting back to running and playing sports again.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
but my employer was very willing throughout all of that, like with physical therapy and surgery and doctor's appointments and stuff. They're just like, yeah, take care of yourself. And like,
Hmm.
we got things here. And then now that I'm back, I feel an extra motivation because they've helped me through things. I'm like, yeah, I want to keep going. And you know what I mean? It kind of like
Yeah.
fuels you up to really feel like you want to contribute more when they're willing to work with you instead of just like, here are the
Yeah.
rules. If you don't
Yeah.
abide by them, like you're gone, or it's got to be a little flexible, I think, especially in this day and age with, I mean,
Hmm.
COVID and working from home and all that
Yeah.
sort of ordeal. But
No,
um,
that's cool to hear. Yeah, I know that, you know, not everybody has a situation where their managers and bosses are, you know, are kind. So, it's good to hear that.
yeah, definitely. And kind of transitioning maybe more into like a fun conversation, kind of getting out of the jobs and the work a little bit here. Like
Yeah.
what's life giving to you right now? Like what brings you joy, and like
Mhm.
are there any new like hobbies, sports, anything like that that you've gotten into?
Yeah, so of course some gaming on the side. Something that I've got into a little bit was fishing.
Oh, sweet.
Only Yeah, the first time that I went was last year. A group of guys from my church was like, let's go rent a boat. I think it was a lake up in Indiana. We just rented a boat and then just went out and see what we could catch. The, Unfortunately, there was like 10 of us and only two guys caught a fish and went home a little sad that day. But
Were you one of the
yeah,
two guys, Brad? No.
I was not. I was not. I'm still looking for my first, but we got that also really like playing football, kind of reliving the glory days, I guess. Um, you know, we just go to one of the parks and just group of guys playing football. Um,
Yeah.
I love it. I
Any
love it.
CCS alumni joining in on that,
Ah,
or just
no, no.
friends from
Yeah,
church and stuff?
just a couple of friends. And also yeah, I guess playing sports a lot. Basketball too. Not that good. I'm gonna be completely honest. But I get a good run in. I'll get rebounds. You
Yeah.
know, I'll play good defense. But if you ask me to shoot or do anything else, I'm not gonna be much of help.
Yeah. Well, I think in high school, everyone would always talk about how fast you were. You were always like one of the fastest
Mhm.
kids. And they were recruiting you for football. I remember they were trying to get you to join our high school football team. But
Mhm.
did you ever end up joining? I thought you did like senior year or junior year or something.
Yeah, you know. I hate to live like life with regrets. I played 2 years. I wish I would have played all 4 years
Because I
because at
think
like, mhm.
Patrick played in junior high with you, right?
So junior high wasn't one of the years I played. I played really
Oh, okay.
weird years. I played sophomore and I played senior, but that's it.
Oh, I thought you played in junior high because Patrick would always talk about, man, Brad's really good. He should play. And then we'd say, Pat, you should play, and all that. And you ended up
Yeah,
playing a couple years. I don't think Pat ever ended up getting on the team, but
yeah, we tried. We tried.
yeah. And Dakota Moon, shout out Dakota Moon was always I think trying to recruit people to join the team.
Yeah, man, those were fun times. Like thinking back on it, I'm like, man, I almost like thought about like trying to play like an amateur league or something like that. But I'm like, I don't know if I get injured in an amateur league, like that wouldn't be good.
Kind of like intramurals or something, or more
Yeah,
competitive.
yeah, probably like flag or something like that. Just
Okay.
because, yeah, just because I like love to play. Anytime like the guys are like, hey, let's go play football, like I'm like always there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I've kind of had to change my interest a little bit with my injury, like I was telling you, because I do like to. I hurt my leg playing hockey. That's how I tore my ACL.
Oh,
And because that was one of my favorite things to do. Every Wednesday, we had the same group that would play. I think we played for 3+ years or something, and then
mhm.
that was in Indy because I was living in Indy, and then we moved up to Fort Wayne last year.
Okay.
So I haven't found a new group yet because we moved, and then I think it was just about 2 months after we moved. I went back to Indy on a weekend to play with my buddies in this league, and that's when
Mhm.
I tore my ACL, and then I've just been sidelined ever since. So I haven't gotten plugged
Man.
up here yet, but I'm hoping to make some friends, kind of playing in a league or something. And I like to
Mhm.
run too. I've always liked to just like go for a run. I am not as crazy about like the weight room and stuff. I know
Yeah.
I should probably get into that. It's good for us and whatnot to do, but I haven't
Mhm.
been as crazy about that.
No, I'm definitely with you. I'd always rather run than lift weights. I feel like running's harder, so I think that that's like the best way to like get better. I think is to run.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely like if I rarely, but when I do lift weights, I do feel afterwards, I feel good or like a sense of
Hmm.
relief, or not even relief. What is, just like that feeling after you work out. I'm
Yeah.
lacking the word for it, I guess, right now, but
Nah,
like
no, I know what you mean.
it's like a sense of accomplishment or something. But when you run, like you were saying, I feel like very few people enjoy running. So when you
Yeah.
do finish a hard run or something, like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I typically stay to like 2 miles. I don't do anything crazy, but
Mhm.
if you kind of push yourself with that, then you're just like, yeah, like it's a whole other kind of feeling to me, at least. I feel like I can
No,
like do anything the rest of the day, you know?
I know. I'm like, all I can think about is being able to not get tired after going upstairs. I think that's the goal.
Right. And when with my injury, I mean, I'm not heavy or anything. I put on a little bit more weight, but nothing crazy. But I will, when I was going up the stairs at first after the surgery, I would be out of breath. And I was like, oh, I got to
Yeah.
fix this. Like,
Yeah, man, it happens, bro. But that's yeah, that's what happens, man.
have you ever had any injuries, Brad? Like any, like playing sports or anything?
I haven't. It's weird. I think only thing is cramped up a lot, but I think that was just from not drinking enough water. But it's yeah. I don't think I ever had one.
I'd never had
'Cause-
like a serious one. I had broken my tailbone, or maybe I bruised it. I can't remember, but something like
Mhm.
that when I was younger. And then I was pretty fortunate too, because I always like going out and playing outside and playing sports and doing whatever.
Yeah,
We would have ramps too in our cul-de-sac, and I would go on my rollerblades and like clear this ramp, and do all that
yeah.
kind of stuff when we were kids. But never got hurt, never wore a helmet, never got hurt like doing any of that kind of stuff. And then
Hey, that's
literally
what's up.
I was playing this in this league and we play with a ball and we just run, we don't have skates. And I was
Mhm,
running and I just planted. So I planted too quick or too hard or whatever, stopped too fast. And I just
mhm.
felt my knee hyperextend and I was just like, oh, something's off there.
That
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that. I'm
Yeah.
not
Oh
even gonna
man.
try to understand.
Yeah, I don't wish it on anyone, man, because it's already been that was in July of 23, and at the time
Mhm.
we're recording this, it's the end of March, so that's 8 months right there that I've been out of commission. So
Yeah, that's crazy. I know ACL injuries are nothing to joke with. I literally just had a friend that she just tore her ACL as well, and
oh
she's still like
no.
doing, and that was like last year too. Hers was playing volleyball, and it takes like almost a year to recover from it.
Yeah, I'm hoping I had a really good surgeon here in Fort Wayne, and I'm hoping to be mostly cleared or going full clip around 6 months. So
Hmm.
that'll be in like, and I had my surgery in November, so that'll be, oh gosh, like another month or so, like kind of like May, I think. He had said
Yeah.
4 months originally. He's like, I want you to be fully healed in
Uh,
4 months. And then 4 months came, and I'm like, that's ambitious. That didn't
he's
happen for
like,
me, but
uh, he's like, I don't know about that. Yeah,
right.
we like
Like,
his positive attitude.
yeah, yeah, he's a go-getter, and I mean, maybe there are things I could have been doing differently. I don't know, but I try to
Hmm.
listen to my physical therapist, and I'm still in doing the therapy with her and stuff, and so that's been really
Hmm.
helpful. But yeah, it's like 4 months. That would have been nice. I think most people it's like 8 months, like 6 to 8 months. I feel like so,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, and how soon could you start walking after you got your surgery?
so that was I think I had a really bad time getting discharged after the surgery. Surgery
Hmm.
went well. All that other the important things went well, but the discharge, the nurse was just struggling with me.
Hmm.
I had consumed so much fluids through the IV, but my they gave me a shot, so my lower half was numb, and I had no
Hmm.
control over my bladder and all that kind of stuff, so I couldn't pee, and so they ended
Oh,
up having to stick a catheter in.
gee.
I know after I think it was like 3 or 3.5 hours. They're like, yeah, let's put the catheter in. And the
Mm.
nurse, she had worked there for 15 years, but apparently had not done a catheter in a long time because she's like looking at it, making sure it's all
Yeah.
good. And then right as she's going to stick me, she goes, I haven't done one of these in 10 years. And I go, what? Like,
Bro, that's not encouraging at all.
it's like the worst thing you can say to someone right before you're about to do a procedure on them is, I haven't done this
Yeah.
in 10 years.
At least look at Google, look at a manual for a second,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, it was so rough. But so anyhow, so needless to say, that whole getting discharged was rough. And so she gave
Mhm,
me some instructions of like I can walk after this point and do this after this other however many days. And I had kind of
mhm.
gotten it mixed up, I think. And then my physical therapist was like, "Oh, you should be able to put 100% weight on your leg." So I think I went the first week without put it. I was doing like 20% weight on my
Mhm.
leg that had the surgery, and she's like, "Oh no, you can put 100% as long as it's comfortable, as long as it, your leg is doing okay." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh!" So it's just little things like that along the way. But I
Mhm.
think I had the crutches an extra week because again, it's they give you a paper and are like tell you 100 things, and then you're out the door. And
Right.
I just don't think I remembered it wrong. And then when I look back at the paper, because I think again, my physical therapist, Janet, shout out to her if she's watching, but
Shout out Janet.
but she was saying like, oh, you shouldn't be on crutches or something like that. Or maybe I went to
Mhm.
the doctor. I can't, it's all a blur, but so many trips
Yeah.
to the medical professionals and all that.
Mhm.
It's all a blur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet that got tiresome.
Well, the first time I went, Brad, it was a kind of a med check place, so you just walk in and they see you or whatever. And the lady was so funny because she almost looks annoyed with me. She's like, "Oh, it's a calf sprain. This is a pretty common injury," and she kind of made me feel dumb because I thought I was really milking this and
Yeah.
making more out of it than it was. So I kind of felt almost bad for going and seeing her. I was, oh, I shouldn't have come in. But then she
Hmm.
said she was, telling me kind of what to do and stuff. And she said, "Well, as you know, your calf is big." And I said, "Oh, thank you." And she goes, "No, I mean like in general, people's calves are big." So I
It's a
felt so
compliment.
dumb. I felt so dumb again. I thought she was complimenting me, but she was like, "Nope. Generally, humans have large calves."
Hmm.
Just like, oh my gosh. So
That's funny.
I know it was just she set me up there a little bit, and no,
Yeah.
but so yeah, and then you have to do all these tests and stuff and whatever else. But no,
Hmm.
I'm glad it's over and I'm kind of on the other side. But
Hey,
yeah,
definitely.
I was spending too much time in the realm that you're in, biology,
Mhm.
medicine, all that. I was like, this ain't
Oh
me,
yeah.
I don't know about any of this stuff. So
I don't know. You might know more than me now.
no, I doubt that. But maybe you could run some tests on me, see how they did and whatnot. So
Yeah, yeah. I don't see why not.
but did you have anything else going on, or I see you're in Cincinnati still. We had talked about it's on your shirt right there,
Yep, yep.
showing loud and proud. I was telling you before the podcast, I'm up in Fort Wayne now, Indiana. So
Hmm.
things going on in Cincy.
Yeah,
Anything else big going on at the moment?
yeah. Living the bachelor's life right now.
Right on.
Um, have a place over in Mount Airy. If you're familiar with that area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've lived over here about 2.5 years. Still a bunch of stuff in my parents' house. If they're cooking dinner, I'm like, let me go and get a plate or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, let's see what else.
Is it
Oh,
are you renting a house out there, or did you buy?
so apartment actually. My
Oh, apartment,
aunt,
cool.
yeah, my aunt, she owns this building. So she just let me know when she had an open tenant, and then I was like, yeah, it was definitely time to move out. So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, no complaints over here or anything like that, loving the single life.
It's a nice apartment. I thought it was a house. It seems like
Oh,
it's in really good condition. Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome.
yeah, trying to think what else like is going on. What do I do?
Besides be Brad and be awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. You know, trying to learn how to make beats on the side too.
Oh,
You know,
really? Music?
yeah, yeah. Something about me is I love music. I love everything about it, but I can't play anything. Like I tried to play guitar like you. I remember playing, but
Oh, thanks, man.
yeah, it didn't stick for too long. So I was like, what's something I can do to like create music, but not knowing how to play an instrument. And John went and brought me Fruity Loops for a birthday or something like that, and just messing around with that and seeing what I can do with it. It's been fun.
Nice. And I played with John. He's really good bass player. Your brother.
Yeah, yeah. He's gotten better. I didn't think it was
Really?
possible. Yeah, I didn't think it was possible, but he plays for our church, and you know he actually tells me that he when like during high school he used to play a lot of songs, you know, a lot of secular songs.
Yeah.
And he
Hmm.
said that once he gave his talent to God, then he started to play like a lot better. Like stuff started to click. He had like a new desire for it,
Wow.
and you can like actually like tell. Like I think he's a really good bassist. I might be biased, but
He
you
was
know,
really good in high school. I remember, so him and Ian Wong were
hmm
both, I think they were like the best bass players I had seen at CCS. Well, I guess Ben Musson was really good too, but he was a guitar
hmm
player first. I think of him as a
yeah,
guitar player, um but he was also a good bass player. But
yeah. I'm
those
out there.
two, oh sorry, I cut you
Sorry.
off.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna have to tell him that. He'll be happy first off to hear from you, and also to hear people actually think he's good.
Yeah, man, I would love that if he's ever interested in coming on too, man. I'd love to catch up with him because I haven't seen him since I think our
hmm
sophomore year of high school because he was 2 years older than us.
Yeah.
So yeah,
hmm
I haven't seen him since probably sophomore year. And I remember him and I played with Chris Kwan, and Chris Kwan led a chapel, and I realized like kind of how, oh, I need to get better at guitar because Chris was just kind of like throwing stuff out like, do this, do that, do whatever, and like John's
Yeah.
like, just jamming, and I'm like, oh, what do I play, what do I do? And
Yeah.
but yeah, it was really funny. Chris Chris would
Yeah.
say like, Logan, do better, play better. And I'm like, Chris, I don't know what you want, I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on, man. Like, but
That's funny.
John was always just like with it, because Chris would be like bass solo or whatever, and John was.
I
I'm
can put
like, oh,
on
I wish
something
I
too.
could do that, whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
But, no, but I also remember you being a good artist too.
Oh,
Well, a
thanks,
good
man.
guitarist. Yeah.
Thank you.
hmm
Yeah, I tried at
But
least.
yeah. And then, as you can see, probably in the background, that's a Billie Holiday album. Also, Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. I've
Nice.
really, yeah, I've really gotten into jazz from like 50s, like 60s. It's very weird.
Would you want to sample it and like anything that you're working on, like production wise?
That'd be a very good idea.
That'd be sweet. Because
Yeah,
I'm
I'll have to.
sorry, we kind of derailed because you were saying that John gave you the. I'm sorry, a looping system. You said
No, yeah, it's a program to make beats called Fruity Loops.
Fruity Loops. Okay,
Mhm.
and so you've been messing around with that. Is it kind of like GarageBand or something?
Yeah, yeah,
That
exactly.
okay, okay. Have you been able to make any songs or any beats?
I've made some, but I've literally only shared them with John because I will not let anyone else hear.
Yeah,
Because I don't think they're any good, and I might just be like being well trying to be perfect in something that I'm not an expert in. But you know, I it's weird. I keep trying to like come up with ideas of what to do, and I haven't come up with any lately. And if I do, I'll like take on my phone, like start recording myself saying like a rhythm or a line or something like that.
I do the same thing on my voice memos.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna remember this in like 2 or 3 hours when I get home.
You know what I hate, Brad, is sometimes I'll be going back through my voice memos and trying to remember, oh, what was this thing? Maybe this is a good idea. And you listen back to it and you're like, oh, that's terrible. Why did I record this?
Bro, that I completely understand. I was like, what was I thinking? Or there's times, I'll be like, hey, this would be like a really good like guitar part to a song, and I'm like, oh, I got that from another song.
Yeah, that's a.
So,
I've been fortunate where sometimes if I love to write music, and sometimes when I'm writing a
mhm.
song, I'll have another song in my head, but I don't learn how to play it because then
Oh yeah.
it'll ruin my songwriting because then I'll just copy it. But if I
hmm
don't know it, I'm not good enough to hear it and just know all of the parts. I'll hear it in my head, but I do it wrong, and then it helps me
Yeah.
write a different song because it's like I hear this one song in my head, and I try to write something similar to it, but I inevitably fail. And then my failure is like what I end up enjoying because it's its own
Yeah,
thing. It's like a different thing.
yeah, and that's how a lot of people write, honestly. Like they're like there's some stuff that I wrote, I was like, this is kind of good, but it happened by accident. I think that a lot of
Right.
like really good songs like come by accident. It's just like I didn't mean to do this, but I was like, this this is pretty good.
I know you were saying too that you're saying that you're, a perfectionist, you want your work to be good. I was
Mhm.
curious to hear what if John had any feedback on, because you said you shared them with him. What does
Yeah.
he typically say?
So he's more musically gifted than me. Just because he took all the band classes, took all the music classes.
He
He
played tuba,
um
right, in concert band?
yeah, he
Yeah, I
played
think.
tuba, he plays bass, he's learning how to play keyboard.
Nice.
So he got like a lot of the musical genes. So that's I think that's another reason why I send him all my stuff because he has like pretty good feedback and will actually tell me some stuff even if I don't want to hear it. He's a
Yeah.
bassist. He's like, oh, this bass line needs to be better, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Or he was like, I think there might have been the time it was like, this ain't it. I was, and I was like, you know what? And I received, and I'm like, just scrap it, then start over. But it's something about music. You just get lost in it for a second. If I'm like,
Yeah.
if I'm like making something, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna spend like an hour working on this. Then I'll look up like 2 or 3 hours gone by, and I'm like, oh man,
That's the best part about music, I think at
yeah,
least, is getting lost in it, man. It's so fun.
yeah, it's very fun, and that's something that was on my to-do list for this year. Is get back into it, try to write, try to do as much as I can with it.
Well, let me know if you ever put anything out there like Spotify or anything like that. I'd love to give it a listen.
Hmm. Or or if I ask you to play a guitar part for me, then send it to me.
Oh, dude, I totally will. I don't have any good recording. I have a microphone here for the podcast, but it's not good
Mhm.
record. But I'd come to Cincinnati if you wanted any kind of guitar or anything. I would be down, man.
Hmm. I might have to hold you to that, man.
Yeah, come on. I would totally will. I would love to. And
Hmm.
I have an amp and stomp pedals and everything now, so
Hmm.
let me know
That's
when,
cool.
man. I'm there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. I was just in town actually last week, visiting my family, and I typically only come in every couple months or so, but I
Hmm.
mean, I'd be willing to make a trip if you gave me notice or if you send me a song or anything, and I'd give it my best college try. I'd give it my best
Yeah.
attempt, whatever it is. So
Hmm. And I honestly believe that you would, and I appreciate that.
yeah, man. Yeah, that's fun. It's music is just it's an endless fascination that will never be as good as we want to be at, because even I've been playing guitar for 15 or no, longer than that. Something like
Yeah.
18 years or something. And I'm still
Mhm.
just I know I'm not I have so much more to improve on, or
Hmm.
whatnot.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah. But
fun.
that's a good thing. That's what keeps it interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been writing songs too since I was probably 10 or 11, around the same time.
Oh, really? That's
Because
cool.
most people, I like that you said you like to write. Because most people, I think, they like to learn the guitar just to learn like
Hmm.
"Sweet Child of Mine" or "Sweet Home Alabama" or some.
Right.
They just like to learn a song or multiple songs or whatnot. I was never really interested in that once I got past a certain proficiency, and I just wanted
Hmm.
to what's on my mind or what do I think is worth saying or sharing right now, and I'm gonna write about that and try to
Yeah.
be honest about what I'm going through. And if people dig it, that's fine. And if they don't, then no harm, no
Yeah.
foul, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
but
That's
it
all.
is tough. It is tough sharing, especially when you're like starting out, because you don't know if it's good, you think it's good, but then it's like very tough to be vulnerable and share that with, because
Yeah.
it's like your little baby. It's your, your idea that you're coming up with. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you have to distinguish criticism from, someone trying to actually help you.
right. Like you're going to your brother, someone that you trust, and obviously you guys have a good relationship. So that
Hmm.
input's going to be very different than Joe Schmo on the street, who's just probably not
Yeah,
going to give you as good of feedback.
right. Yeah, they're just gonna say this isn't good, then walk away.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I really value, I've been fortunate. I've had some friends where I can show them, I can be vulnerable with them and show them the creative idea or the idea that I have that's pretty raw still, and they
Hmm.
can see value in it, even though I don't sing great or the words might not be finished up yet, but they can still see the concept and see value in it, offer feedback, or just say, keep working on it. Things like that. That's really helpful just to bounce off somebody else and even talking about the theme. If I'm talking about the song and I could say something that I haven't thought before, I'm like, oh, that's good. I guess that is what the song's about. And then it kind of influences
Yeah,
like, you know, it a bit. So
yeah, that's cool. That's cool to hear about that process
I'm
from
glad
other
to hear
people.
you're working on stuff though. It's exciting, man. And maybe
Yeah,
you might have to keep me on the loop and some of that if
yeah,
you got any tracks.
it's still a work in progress, but just have to keep working at it because I feel like I got into this like super late, and I didn't take like all the music theory classes in like high school, so I'm kind of just winging it honestly.
One
So,
of my favorite musicians didn't break into the mainstream until I think he was like 30 or 35.
oh really?
Yeah, Bon Iver, Justin Vernon. If that's
Hmm.
so. Um, but yeah, I mean, shoot, you could break in at 45. Who cares? If you're just if it
Yeah,
brings you joy and you want to keep doing it, it's like, I don't think you're ever really too old.
yeah, yeah. That's good advice.
I'm trying to live by it myself too, because I'm gonna keep writing. It's just I don't know any other way.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Well, Brad, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on and talking with me today. It was an absolute blast catching up with you, and I think we're kind of running out of time here, unless you had any closing thoughts or remarks or whatnot.
Well, I just wanted to, give you some flowers. Like I said, it's always nice to see literally every time I see you, there's always a smile on your face. And, I try to take from that. I don't know what mood you're in, but, you always have a smile, and that's something to appreciate. And I just want to say never lose that smile, and, just continue being you, because I remember you as being one of the coolest people at school. So, love you, bro.
Love you too, man. Thank you. That was really kind of you to say. And I feel the exact same way about you as far as like I think there are certain people you can be around that bring out the best in you. And
Mhm.
I felt that way about you because you can might be quiet, but you always have a kind word to say, and you're always very perceptive on what's going on, and like you have good comments and like you can tell you're just like a very sharp mind that I don't I love being around people like that. And obviously you've proven that you're creative doing the music, and I'm glad to hear that like things are going well with your job and everything else. So yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
yeah, I love you, dude, and I hope we get together sometime here in the coming weeks and or
Yeah,
this year at
yeah,
least. So yeah,
it'd definitely be cool, man.
yeah. All right, well, I hope you take care, and thanks again.
All right, thanks, Logan. I'll see you, man.
Peace.